What is it? Okay, what is it, BT? HPJ here, and if you can't hear it in my voice, look, you're just gonna hear about it now. I am tired. I am over trying to build shit right now, and I just want to just move on to something else. So we have Machina here, and this is probably just gonna be Machina to take the place for two things: structure deck Machina, because Machina Fortress came out as a structure deck. Then number two is that it came out during Edison format. Yeah, that's right. Machina definitely did run itself a course during the um, Edison format. And what particular it ran itself for was the fact that it was a machine-based archetype that gave a lot of resurgence to previous machine-type decks in machine type support. Primarily Cyber Dragon, who is going to be featured in this as well. And I have just gotten to the point where I'm over shit. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into this. So starting off are the monster lineup. Triple copies of Machina Fortress, followed by triple copies of Machina Gear Frame, with two copies of Machina Peacekeeper. And then from there are the gadgets that of course everyone loves gadgets. So there's three copies of Gadget Green, Gadget Red, and of course Gadget Yellow. Alright, fuck it. It's so off centered. You know, at this point, I kind of just don't give a fuck. Two copies of Scrap Recycler, two copies of Cyber Dragon, and a copy of whatever the fuck that was. I guess it was a Card Trooper. Okay. Moving on from there is the rest of the cards. We got Double Summons, two copies, two Smashing Grounds, Giant Trune, Heavy Storm, MST, Brain Control, Mind Control, Pot of Avarice, Limited Removal, and Instant Fusion. Alright, that's it for the spells. We're going to go into the traps. Two copies of Ultimate Offering, two copies of Bottomless Shot Pull, one Torrential, and one Mirror Force. Alright, then for the extra deck, which I could give two shits about at this point, two copies of Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, one copy of Chimera Tech Over Dragon, one copy of Cybersaurus, one copy of Allied Justice Catastor, one Guided Knight, one Brainiac, one Psychic Life Transfer, one Arcanite Magician, one Ancient Fairy, two Black Roses, one Stardust Dragon, one Thought Roll Archfiend, and one Colossal Fighter. So that's pretty much it for the lineup. Okay, so we're just gonna get this out the way. The reason why I'm irritated is because I thought I had solidarities. I've been looking for the last 2 hours to try to find my solidarities, because that's what's supposed to bind this deck together, is that you use solidarity to make it a beatdown if you can't get all the other mechanics off. The other reason was because I didn't have any overload fusions. I don't even think I own an overload fusion. So because of that being added more fuel to this fire, I completely just stopped giving a fuck and just started to create whatever the hell I had that was on hand, which is basically making Machina as it is. So at least I have something. So, three copies of Machina Fortress. This is your boss monster. It's able to such summon itself by sending machine-type monsters from your hand to the graveyard, whose total level is 8 or more. You can such summon this card from your grave or your hand. Yeah, it was one of the few times where an extra deck monster has the ability, extra deck monster has the ability to be a boss monster that has the ability to such summon itself without major backdraws. Your only thing that you have to do is keep it in the graveyard, and you have a lot of spell and trap removal to deal with stuff like what were those cards? Dimensional Fissure, Macros Cosmos, Dimensional Prison, and all the things that are basically anti-graveyard. So you should have enough anti-graveyard in this format to help you at least deal with those. Other than that, Machina Fortress is just a giant beat stick that if it's destroyed by battle and sent to your grave, you can destroy a card your opponent controls. And if your opponent targets it for a card effect, you look at your opponent's hand, send the card from the hand to the graveyard, and you do some hand disruption. Alright, next up are the three copies of the Machina Gear Frame. On its normal summon, you search your deck for any of your Machina cards and add it to your hand. Then it can equip itself to a machine type monster and give that monster immunity from battle or card effect. You can destroy a battle or card effect once, at least once. But, you know, if you stack on multiples of them, you're perfectly fine. The whole deal about the Machina Gear Frame is that it's supposed to just help you go and get your fortress, equipped itself to the fortress, and then the fortress is supposed to run rampant. Alright, then from there are the 2 copies of the Peacekeeper. I was going to run a third, but I don't have my solidarities. The purpose of Peacekeeper is that it's supposed to help you search for any Union monster in your deck and add it to your hand. Since Machina Gear Frame is already a Union monster, that's just another monster you can search for. Then, just like Gear Frame, it can equip itself to your opponent's monster, to your monster, and then be able to give it immunities from destruction by battle or by card effect. So there you go. By destroying itself. So those are the Machinas. We have each of the gadgets. The whole purpose of the gadgets is basically to search for each other to then be able to be used as fodder to summon the Machina Fortress. Even if you don't have enough in the levels, you can easily just take advantage of the double summons or the ultimate offerings to put multiples of these on the board to thin out your deck, and then be able to either ram things over with or make bigger monsters with them. The bright side about the gadgets is that at least there's 3 of them apiece, so you have at least 9 good targets for stuff like your Chimeritic Overdragon if you're playing Future Fusion, or some materials for your Chimeritic Fortress Dragon, which is definitely good and helpful during some of the mirror match situations. Alright, now we're moving on from there to actually talk about the big guy himself, and that is Cyber. Oh, well, actually, no, we still got another card to go through, and that's Scrap Recycler, who on its normal summon, or special summon, can Foolish Burial any machine earth monster and send it to the grave. So this just helps you add another process of sending Machina Fortress to the graveyard. Then, once during your turn, you can send 2 level 4 machine type monsters in your grave and shuffle them back into your deck and then draw a card. So it's a bit of a mini Pot of Avarice. If you don't want to run it, you don't have to, because you can just triple up on Pot of Avarice if you want to instead, because Pot was still at 3. So moving on from the Scrap Recyclers, and then now here is the Cyber Dragon. So being able to counteract machines with Cyber Dragon was one of your key pieces, because Cyber Dragon turned everybody into Chimeritic Fortress Dragon. Not to mention, it's a light machine type monster who can easily just drop itself onto the board. Remember, Cyber Dragon revolutionized things because it was a light monster with an easy summon, while also being high stated for itself. The other was actually the Fiend Mega Cyber, but Cyber Dragon only says your opponent has to control a monster. Fiend Mega Cyber says 2 or more. So you can see the popularity besides that in GX. Outside of that is the last card, and that's Card Trooper. Milling the top 3 cards of your deck to be able to give this monster up to 1900 attack. Then being able to take out a lot of beat sticks, or even take out some weenies. And then being able to draw you a card upon its destruction. Which, yeah, that's Card Trooper. Alright, moving on into the spells. I'm running Double Summon. Why am I running Double Summon? Because this is a card that just helps you put more monsters onto the board in addition to your ultimate offerings. While offering was at 2, Double Summon was definitely going to be a showstopper. Even to the point where when Double Summon became useful from Dolce years later. So, that is Double Summon. Then we're going to move on into Smashing Ground, which is just some easy removal when needed. If you love to hate back row, trust me, we had at least 3 cards to help you with that. MST, Heavy Storm, and Giant Trune. While Trune didn't have many answers to it, Trune returned cards from the field, spelling traps that were on the field back into the hand. While Heavy Storm allows you to destroy those cards. Destroy spells and traps that were on the field, and MST was spot removal. If there was anything that I can honestly say about the 3 heavyweights here, was that, well, 2 of them are banned, 1 of them isn't, and you really didn't have that much to worry about. But Trune was definitely good for getting out your Union monsters and then being able to put them back onto the board, while Heavy was there to help you out with Floodgates as well as MST. Alright, moving on from the 3 of them. Brain Control and Mind Control to steal your opponent's monsters and do what you needed to with them. If you're using Mind Control, note that you can't tribute with the monsters that you take, and with Brain Control, you're giving up 800 of your life points for a monster that's already face up. At this point in time, you're using them to grab tuners so you can make synchro monsters with them. Because the Monster Reborn was still not out, and most people were not going to take the chance of running Earth tuners, because there really weren't any machine Earth tuners at that point that were outside of Synchron. Pot of Avarice to retrieve your monsters that were in the grave, send them back to the deck to draw 2. Limited Removal, because this is a machine type deck, so you can run things over thanks to its support. Then you had Instant Fusion, which is definitely here because of that lone cyber source is in here, and as another way to fire into your synchros. It's funny enough that we're talking about Instant Fusion because I'll be very honest, Instant Fusion was very much not seen till later on after the synchro era, because when initially released, there really wasn't much you can really want to do with Instant Fusion, and plus Metamorphosis was already banned. So Instant Fusion is a way to cheat out monsters from fusion monsters from the extra deck. Were definitely being used to help cheat out synchro monsters, and then later on exceeds out of the extra deck. Remember, this card got so powerful to the point where it's now unlimited, and it even has a retrain of itself that just basically gets out those that don't have an effect. All right, moving on into the trap cards. We're rocking the the ultimate offering to basically just spam more normal summons that your deck can offer to itself, because a lot of your cards in the deck do effects on their normal summon. Ultimate offering definitely helps out with that. Next, we have the bottomless trap hole to deal with monsters with 1500 or more. We have Torrential Tribute for the massive swarm, and for the massive battle swing, we have Mirror Force to help out with that. Alright, that is it for all my traps. Now we're going to go into this thing that I call an extra deck. So I'm going to be very honest with you right now. Because of brain control and mind control, you will be able to have access to a lot of the synchro monsters in here if you so choose to. If you do not, it's perfectly fine. Most Machina decks were just running extra decks because, well, that's what everyone else was doing. So Colossal, Thought Ruler, Stardust Dragon, Double Black Roses, Ancient Fairy, Arcanite Magician, Psychic Life Transfer, Bryanak, Gaia, and Allied Justice Catastor were one of many and few of the extra deck monsters that you can play around with. I know there are 2 Black Rose Dragons. I think Black Rose was still at 1. But if she wasn't, hey, look, it was a thing. Other than that, look, whatever you can find for your extra deck is up to you, and take advantage of it. Now, the main pieces for the extra deck are the Sabersaurus, who was easily able to take who summon off of the instant fusion. Then you use your mind control, your brain control to steal one of your opponent's tuners, and then synchro with that card. Chimera Tech Over Dragon was something that I was using in terms of the future fusion, but because I don't have an overload fusion, I just was like, I'll keep it in the deck just for a placekeeper. And then we had the 2 copies of the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragons, because dealing with other machine decks, Chimera Tech was definitely a way to go in, a way to clear those out. Summon your own Cyber Dragon, take all the machines on the board, and give this thing a hefty load of material. Then get your True Nade or your Heavy Storm ready to get rid of back row, swing in, and then drop your limiter removal. And then bam, there you go. So that is pretty much it, you guys, for the Machina video. I am completely drained from Machina. I cannot wait to put the Machina cards back up so I can have less of a headache than I already have. I hope you guys enjoy it, because this is one of many of the decks that are to be coming between structure decks and Edison format type of stuff. So be ready for those. With that said and done, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, as it helps me out tremendously. Hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more content to the channel. Socials are in the description box below. And with that said, thanks everyone for watching. HPJ signing out. Take care.